County Law Enforcement Center Authority to order. A reminder, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. When speaking, please come to the podium, state your name, and speak loudly and clearly. Thank you. Agenda item 1, approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion. If someone wants to make it to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tony.
A second.
Second. Thank you, David. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Agenda item 2, approval of the minutes of April 7, 2026 meeting. I'll entertain a motion on that one.
Sure, I'll move it.
Thank you, Tony.
A second.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. 3-0 vote. Agenda item 3, approval of claims. I have 6 claims. Resource Consulting Engineers, a claim for $2,375. That was for the retro commissioning. CW Suitor Services, $1,600. That was for the programming, and if you'll recall, that was a set amount or not to exceed amount. And then Baker Group, our project manager for the month of March, $7,334.20. And Baker Group for the litigation matters, $625. And Baker Group for $500 for the month of April. That was also litigation related. And finally, Baker Group for the month of April, $8,372.70 for project work. I will entertain a motion to approve those 6 claims.
Sure, I'll move it.
Thank you, Tony.
I'll second.
Thanks, Dave. Is there any discussion?
Dan?
Yes, sir.
We also need to run through the 6 claims from the Board of Supervisors for the bond payment up above too.
Why do we need to read through those?
But, yeah, I mean, because we got to approve those claims too.
Okay, with those amounts. Okay, thank you. Well, let's vote on the Law Enforcement Authority. Is that okay if we do that on those 6 claims at the bottom of the page? Any discussion on those claims? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes 3-0. So Karen, that was just on the Law Enforcement Authority claims, okay, that are listed there under Office 45. Now Office 01, Board of Supervisors, the BOK Financial claim $225 for debt service. And these are all with BOK. Am I pronouncing that correctly? BOK Financial. There are 6 claims with BOK Financial. The first one being the $225 for debt service. And these are all for debt service. Second one is for $456,500. Third one is for $970,000. Fourth one is $225. Fifth one, $269,930.37. And the last debt service item for BOK Financial, $1,195,000 for a total of $2,891,880.37. Is there a motion to entertain approval of those 6 claims for BOK Financial?
Do we have discussion first, or do we make a motion?
We'll make a motion and then.
Then I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Okay, thank you, Dave. Okay, discussion?
I would like some clarification on this. I'm sort of lost on what
Okay,
this is.
maybe Ryan can help us with the,
Ryan Erickson, Finance Director, Woodbury County. The claims with BOK Financial are related to the 2 different bond issues that were issued in 21 and 20. One was for tax exempt and one was taxable. The breakdown of the different amounts, the 225 is just a processing fee that's paid every time a payment's made. And then the 456,000, that's interest on the 21 issuance of bonds. And the 970,000 is the principal payment for that issuance. And then the 269,000 is the interest for the 20 issuance of bonds, and then the 1,195,000 is the principal payment on those bonds.
So is this our house payment for the year?
Yes.
It's only for 6 months, not for the year.
Well, actually, the principal's for the entire, interest we make semi-annually.
So
But-
we'd owe another $700,000 in 6 months on the interest?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on top of, the Woodbury County has issued and has been deposited into the authority's account the exact same amount for, it's not gonna show up on this month's, financial statement, but next month you'll see income and expense in the exact same amount. So that's where the revenue comes in to pay for these expenses is,
So the county's giving the authority the money, and then we're paying?
Yes.
We're paying the bill.
yes.
Okay. That leads me, sorry,
No, no, go ahead.
that leads me to my next thing. Is further on, when we have the revenue in and expenditures. Thanks, Dan. We have period revenue of $42,000 for the Justice Center maintenance. Okay, where are we seeing the 20% from the maintenance agreement? Is that staying with the county until we need it, or is that being put into an account that we get to utilize?
That is in an account that will have to be discussed. Because that 20% is above and beyond the bond payments.
Okay, so explain that. Meaning what?
Meaning the 20,
It was on.
Thanks, Karen.
See, the federal revenue is to pay off the bond payments. The 20% above the bond payments would then go into the maintenance fund.
Okay, so so I understand this, right? Every federal inmate we get, we're throwing 100% of that money to make the bond payment.
Correct.
Okay, and as soon as we make the $4,100,000, that's the bond payment, correct?
Per the lease agreement, yes.
Okay, so then we make that, and it looks like did we make that with our federal revenue this year?
I haven't calculated that yet.
Okay, so once we hit that, or we paid that bill, the maintenance agreement is then getting 20% of every federal inmate that comes in for the time? Is that how that works?
Per the lease agreement, yes.
Okay, is there any way in the future going forward, when you have period revenue coming in, that we can see how much revenue that the sheriff's office is generating on a monthly basis?
That is on the non-qualified use report that will be presented today.
Okay, what does that mean?
Can I explain it during that part of the agenda?
Yeah, yeah, if you got a plan,
Yeah.
that's fine on there. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
That'll be agenda item 6.
Perfect.
Get that. And these bonds, I'm looking at this correctly, right? The one bond's $21 million principal outstanding.
Yes.
And the other one's $22,825,000. Thank you. $22,825,000 is the other bond.
Yes. And they will be fully paid off in like 2038.
2038.
So there's still over 10 years left on the payments.
Okay. You telling me I need to be here another 10 years?
If you want to
That's a
stay
bad
till the
joke.
end.
Any other questions for Ryan on this?
Not this time.
Yeah, those are good questions. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Ryan.
Good evening or afternoon. Teen Bertrand, Woodbury County Treasurer. Just to answer a little bit about those maintenance reserve funds, we do have them in a separate account. We do have some of it actually invested in CDs as well. So they are completely segregated from county funds.
Okay, that's what I was
Okay.
wondering. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Anyone else want to be heard on this item? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 approved. Okay, Karen, so there'll be 2 different motions and 2 different votes. Okay. All right, thank you. Agenda item 4, approval of invoice from Frederickson Law Firm for $12 million, excuse me.
No, Dan, that is incorrect.
$12,542.48.
I'll approve 12,000, or I'll make a motion on 12,000.
Thanks, Tony. Is there a second, Dave, on the 12,542? Second. 48, okay. Any discussion? Wow, that was a slip. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. 3-0, approved. And I forgot to ask if anyone wanted to speak to that item. I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. On each item, if you have something, just come up to the podium, please. Okay, financial report. Agenda item 5, financial report. Call on Ryan Erickson. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm back already. There's not a whole lot to report for the month of April 26. There was actually more revenue than expenditures in the month, and the main reason is our treasurer Tina Bertrand does invest the cash into CDs, and the maintenance fund had a CD mature, so that generated over $42,000 worth of interest. That's not an every month thing. It all depends on when the CDs mature. And then the expenses was just Baker Group and Frederickson, so the total of that was about $28,000. So after that, there is still nearly $5.2 million in the various funds for the law enforcement center.
Okay. Any questions for Ryan?
No.
Okay.
And yes, I did on the next, do you need to announce it?
There's no, just thank you for the financial report. There was no, there are no questions.
Well, the next item is me too.
Yeah.
Well, that's agenda item 6, yeah. I haven't jumped to that yet.
I know, I'm just waiting here for you to do that.
Okay. Agenda item 6, Law Enforcement Center non-qualified use report. Ryan?
Yeah, I decided to defer the answer to your question to this item because section 2.2 of the lease, it states, during the lease term, the county will take no action which will cause the bonds to become private activity bonds, as defined in section 141A of the code, including any use in excess of 50% of the facility to or by any person other than a governmental unit. To show compliance with this covenant, the county shall deliver a semi-annual report to the authority documenting the 1, average monthly occupancy of the facility, distinguishing qualified use from non-qualified use, and 2, the other revenues received by the county with respect to such non-qualified use. And per non-qualified use is actually, even though I stated earlier it says any governmental unit, but the IRS considers the federal inmates as a non-qualified use of the facility. So we cannot go over 50% usage of the facility in housing the federal inmates. And this report shows that our average population for each month range between 322 to about 383, and the average non-qualified, which, as I said before, are the federal inmates, averaged 123 to a high of 157. So if we took that as, non-qualified as a percentage of the total population, it ranged between 38 and 45% of the total population. If you look at it as a part of as the operational capacity, which is 498, it's a lower percentage. But the main thing here is to verify that the non-qualified use is not over 50%, which, as the IRS would then call these private activity bonds and would become, a lot of an issue to the investors. Then the last column, as you see, is what you would ask previously is a monthly revenue for the non-qualified use, which was about $400,000 in November. And then December, it jumped to $715,000, which was a combination of the new federal rate of 142 versus 100 per day, and then the higher population for that month. So this report, gives you at least the last 6 months of what you would ask for earlier.
So what steps would we take to not go 50% or more?
Number one would keep the non-qualified population under the 50% usage of the building, which this report only does it based on population. I believe if we looked at the building's use as a whole and looked at it square footage wise, there is quite a bit of the facility, like the attorney's office, the court, we could, use that as a determining factor to make sure we don't go over that 50% usage. Because if we look at it as a square footage wise, it'd be a lot lower percentage.
I see, okay.
Does the sheriff know about this?
Yes.
Okay, because he's letting the IRS dictate what he can put in and out of his facility?
It's not like he has it, it's really the IRS is dictated to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not our choice. It is the IRS rules on the type of bonds that were issued. We could go over it, but then we would have consequences with the bonds.
And it would be something very strange that we need to house 400 federal inmates, but if for some reason we were asked to because of a national emergency, I can't see Sheriff Sheehan saying, oh, no, we're not gonna do that because I don't want the IRS being upset with us.
Well, he may have to if it's a long
You
enough.
can tell him that,
Yeah.
okay, Ryan? I'm not gonna tell him.
Well, because it's either that or suffer the bond consequences.
It's part of the strings with getting these bonds for building the facilities. You can't go over the 50%.
Okay, I guess,
And I would say if it's a short term, yeah, we could, but
yeah, and again, it would be, in my mind, if this ever happened, it'd be really strange, and it would be a short-term thing.
and that's where I also would look at it as square footage.
I agree with you on that. You got the state and county business being done there. How are they gonna determine what 50% of the usage of that building is?
Well, you'd probably look at the percentage of the jail as a percentage of the building as a whole. And then if we'll say that's 75%, but that the jail is only 50% of the building, then it would average out to be less than 50%.
Okay.
The square footage of the jail, it's 54,000 square feet for the actual jail. The overall building is 122,675 square feet, so the jail is less than 50% of the overall square footage of the
Yeah,
building.
so even if we were at 100, but it's still, this section is in the lease, and that's what the non-qualified use report fulfills.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, I'm just, for the public, in 6 months, we brought in close to $4 million to the fed inmates? Like, $3 million, just over 3. So the bond we owe is just over 4?
Yes,
So, just so the public is aware, the federal inmates are gonna pay for this bond. We're not gonna have to go to the county and say, hey, the sheriff's office isn't getting this done. The sheriff's office is bringing in the federal inmates to pay this bill.
yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? None? Okay. Thank you, Ryan.
All right, now I'll leave.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ryan.
well, don't go too far away, just in case I get into a jam again. Okay, that was 6. Agenda item 7, Building Services Facility Report, Kenny Schmitz.
Kenny Schmitz, Building Services Director. Few things happening out at the jail since we last met. We did get the energy recovery wheel removed from AHU 3 after several attempts that we had to work through on different days because of the weather and wind, not allowing our crane to set up. But we got through that, and I'll let Shane speak to that a little bit later in the meeting. Our comm failure on the fire alarm panel has returned after approximately a month and a half or so. We had a technician from Thompson Solutions out there today looking at that fire alarm panel. He was going to program a second software change into that system that was recommended by the manufacturer's technical people. It's the final recommended change that they have for us to try. Hopefully it works. A couple of things happening in the detention area, just to keep the board abreast of a few things that happened in the detention area. We had an inmate break a sprinkler head, which sets off the fire alarm system, which does turn on sprinkler water. So there's some cleanup involved with that. That took place. We also had a holding cell window broken by an inmate that is on order for replacement. We don't have a replacement for that. Hopefully we'll have that in a couple of weeks. Sallyport garage door, we've been having trouble with one of these doors on and off for a long time. Very intermittent, becoming worse and worse a little bit at a time. One of our maintenance technicians discovered the other day that he believes there's a portion of the wiring that feeds that door that was either damaged in installation or something like that possibly. So we're looking at getting a portion of that wiring replaced, and hopefully that solves that problem. Most recently, last Saturday night, when we had the rainstorm, the overflow drain system on the jail, which should never probably receive any rainwater through it, it looks like it drained out most of the water from the rooftop in that area for an unknown reason. Normally, if this occurs, you'll go up and you'll find a roof drain that's plugged with some kind of material. We're not seeing anything plugged on the roof, and our next step is probably going to be to those drains on that roof with some kind of a camera system, have somebody drop a camera down it and see if we've got a plugged drain line somewhere. Unfortunately, when this occurred, it was right in front of the building. The overflow is right in front of the building. It washed out all of our mulch around the front of the building. Thank you, and washed it out into the parking lot after we had just done our remulching the previous week, unfortunately. So we're going to be right back at it again. In the future, we might be looking at a longer-term solution for some of our mulching areas. We've been having difficulty with them anyway, with keeping product into the areas it belongs. The wind blows it out. There's a couple of specific areas where we just can't keep it in at all. Instructed staff, for now, we're going to replace the mulch, and we're going to try a spray application. They make a glue that goes on it. It's expensive. We're going to try that and see how it goes, maybe short term and longer term, look at a better solution. Was approached, this is an issue that we have to address and we will address. Approached with the need for a lactation room in the LEC. We're required by law to provide one. And I'll present this if the board wants to see it. If not, this is the wage and hour divisions fact sheet number 73A, space requirements for employees to pump breast milk at work. So if you'd like to receive that, just to read it. Sure.
Move to receive.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.
And so, two issues. One is actually employees, and we have to provide space for employees. The other issue is the public, and normally the public wouldn't really be too much of a concern in some facilities. However, this is different. Since we have jurors and they are public members, we have to be able to provide a place for those jurors in case there's one that needs to utilize a room like this. So my recommendation and what I suggested to the courts is that we resource one of the attorney-client rooms that are in the main corridor at the LEC. There's two of those rooms. That we use one of those rooms whenever we have to for the person that might be in need. Basically, all we really need to do is say, hey, if there's a requirement to use this room, it would be available for that person's use. And we'll put in some signage in that room, saying if an attorney is meeting with a client and the situation arises, please be aware that we're going to have to accommodate that person by law. Received a quote today to restripe the parking lot out there. It's been restriped twice before by the contractor. It needs to be restriped. Normally, restriping doesn't have to occur probably every couple of years, but this parking lot needs it, and so I'm recommending that we go ahead and do the restriping. We'll pay for that out of the LEC my annual operating budget. The cost for that that we received is $13,600. I plan on moving forward with that.
Why are we having problems, Kenny?
I believe that the contractor isn't using the correct paint, but they are using the paint that was specified. The real answer is I'm not sure why, but it is all flaking and falling off. And
We've done this a few times.
then the company that has given us the quote also recognized that, of course, when they were looking around. And they're not sure. They're not sure. There were some areas that they were particularly interested in where they said it looked like the paint popped off the concrete because there was possibly, and I can't confirm this, some kind of a sealant in some areas that wouldn't allow the paint to adhere to the concrete. And they said if that was the case, that they wanted to forewarn us, their paint might also not adhere in a couple of these types of areas. So not a lot I can do about that, just to make sure that we're using, if we do the restriping, make sure that we are using the correct paint for our zones in the United States. And I think, I know that this person that we got the quote from is familiar with the right type of paint to use in our area, so that won't be a problem. The last item I had was commissioning, and I'll let Shane speak to that. We have not moved forward with the retro commissioning as planned, and I'll let Shane speak to that.
Kenny, could I ask you back on the pump breast milk at work? There isn't another space, is there, that would be less, because it says in here, free from intrusion from coworkers and the public, and you're talking about two conference rooms that would be used possibly during a trial. And from my experience, it could be very difficult to be in the middle of something and have to vacate that room while that's being done, isn't there more space somewhere that could be more private and wouldn't interrupt? And I don't know how often that's gonna happen, but when it does happen, it could be real critical to the case that's being tried or being heard.
No is the answer. There is not. It would have to be a space that we could get the public to, and there are not a lot of public spaces in the facility. So the answer really is no, there's not, unfortunately.
So there'll be locks on the doors then, or the door? There'll be a lock?
There will be, yes. Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And if the door has a window, it will be covered. So so you can't see through.
But no other space?
There's not. I've gone over this with Peggy, Peggy Frericks with the courts, and she's okay with it, that use. Didn't seem to be an obstacle that they couldn't overcome.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Kenny on the building services facility report? Okay. Agenda item 8, approve the direct purchase, $45,891.66, compactor and installation alterations from Gil Hauling to be paid from the LEC Authority Maintenance Fund. Kenny, do you want to give us a background on that, please?
Yeah. So our trash has increased substantially since we opened. It's not something that was unexpected. We knew this would occur as populations rose. And so we were clearly aware there was going to be this need. Initially, when the facility was designed and built, we accommodated it. We accommodated electrical power and installed it for the time that this would come. So the main power is already in place. Got a place to put it. Normally, a lot of times, when you're doing trash compaction, you will sign an agreement with a company such as Gil Hauling, Waste Management, whoever that might be in your areas. Usually the agreement is a lease agreement, lease rental agreement, whereby you sign an agreement and a contract, you pay a rental fee on that compactor. In this case, initially, I got costs from Gil Hauling and Waste Management, which was a lease rental agreement. Gil Hauling's rental for the unit, if we went lease agreement, was $6,600 per year just for the equipment rental. In other words, the rental of the compactor. I've had some past experience with this. And so after they provided those numbers, I asked them if they would allow us to do a direct purchase. And that would take away that rental cost, and then we would just pay our normal number of pulls per month and tonnage of trash. They did provide that number, which is the number I'm asking you to approve, $45,891. For a compactor. The reason I went this route is I've done rental agreements in the past at different entities. We had one where we had a rental agreement that was in place. I wasn't the initial, didn't bring the agreement initially forward, but it was already in, this agreement was already in place for 20 years. And they were still paying a monthly rental fee after 20 years. And I thought, well, this is just crazy. So that's when I kind of learned, hey, if you're going to do this new and better do it, you probably should do it up front and just purchase outright. So you're not paying for a rental agreement the rest of your life.
Okay. Is there a warranty on that? if you purchase it?
I'm sure there is. I didn't ask
Some
what it
kind.
was. I'm guessing it's probably a 1-year warranty or something
Okay.
like that.
All right. Thank you, Kenny. I'll entertain a motion to approve the direct purchase, the $45,891.66 compactor and installation alterations from Gill Hauling to be paid from the LEC Authority Maintenance Fund, which is Fund 4756. And further in the motion, I'd like to state that any repair occurrence 20% of original price, which would be $9,200, or greater, would be paid from the LEC Authority Maintenance Fund as well.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Tony.
I'll second.
Thanks, Dave. Is there any further discussion? Anyone want to speak on this item that's with us today? Okay, there being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No one, anyone opposed? No one. 3-0 approval on agenda item 8. Agenda item 9, approve and execute service agreement with Accurate Controls. Kenny?
Yes, so bringing forward agreement, now that our warranties on some of our security systems is expiring. And I did make a recommendation that Accurate Controls provided several different options here and several different terms with those options. My initial recommendation was to choose their bronze plan and probably with the 3-year term, but I'd like Tony to weigh in on this since he directly worked in the sheriff's department. Office, sorry. So Tony, I would definitely not recommend that we choose the silver plan because there's too big of a jump between the bronze and the silver plan. I don't think it's worth it. My question to you would be, if the board would approve it, would your choice be a bronze or a gold plan?
Shane talked to me about it prior, and I was looking at it again. Sorry, Shane, we were talking about it earlier. My only question is, did you talk to anybody from the jail side about what plan you're thinking of?
I really didn't, no.
Okay. I don't think them coming out, just the big price increase, for them gonna come out 2 more extra times to visit with us for 8 hours at a time. I wasn't that impressed when they did come out.
Okay.
I am impressed with their on-call help, when you call them after hours. Those people are very, very responsive, and that's when we need the help.
Yes.
So just looking at it quickly, I don't disagree with what you're recommending. My only caveat would be is the jail listens to this and comes back and goes, this is what we need, and it's not what we like, then I'd be like, well, they're the ones that are gonna be using it.
Sure.
But I don't see them having an issue with the one you picked either. As long as they have something available to them to reach out to somebody in the moment saying, I need help, and this plan does that, then I think they're gonna be fine with it.
Right.
Okay, well, thanks, Tony. Does this item come out of the maintenance fund as well, Shane? This item does, okay.
You have to make that recommendation, sir, but that's where you would have to pay for it if the authority's gonna pay for it.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to approve and execute service agreement with Accurate Controls under the bronze plan, under the 3-year term, which is $52,025.52, and that be paid from the LEC Authority Maintenance Fund, 4756.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Tony.
I'll second.
Thanks, Dave. Any discussion, any further discussion? Anyone to be heard on this item? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 approval. Thank you, Kenny, on that one. Agenda item 10, discussion and approval of request to relocate emergency 911 backup services from Climbing Hill location to the Law Enforcement Center. Kenny, did you want to give us some background on that?
Wendy Hess and
Or others.
and
Hi,
Travis
Wendy.
Sipley are here, and I will let them take this over.
Okay, thank you, Kenny.
Good afternoon, Wendy Hess, Communications Center Director. So we currently have a backup 911 dispatch center located in Climbing Hill in the Emergency Services Building. When that was developed, technology was different. And we had a couple experiences in the last year that we learned that was not an ideal situation. So in March of last year, we had an ice storm, and the generator at our existing 911 center was not starting, and we had a power outage in the middle of an ice storm. And so Sheriff Sheehan and Sheriff's Department personnel were standing by in four-wheel drives, ready to evacuate our staff to Climbing Hill when there was literally semis jackknifed on Highway 20, and getting our staff to Climbing Hill would have been a really unsafe situation. So back in October, then we practiced using Climbing Hill as our backup and learned, the computer network isn't what it was when we chose that as a backup. And to the state, having our staff, if we had to relocate there for a significant amount of time, having our staff drive out in the middle of the county is no longer really. When it was designed, it was okay. If something bad happened in the city, then we're out there and we're away from it. But I think we've learned that finding a backup location, preferably in a city-county facility that has good access to the computer network, a facility that can meet our power needs with backup power should we need it, and having those discussions with the Sioux City Police Chief, Sheriff, Fire Chief. Sheriff Sheehan said, I think there's some space in the LEC that would be ideal. So we've had some preliminary meetings just to look at the space, discussions with Kenny, discussions with both Thompson Electric and our city-county IT folks, just to make sure logistically this is doable before there's any huge roadblocks. The Woodbury County E911 Service Board has budgeted a significant amount of money to make this happen. So there would be no cost to the actual city of Sioux City or the Board of Supervisors. We are part of WCICC, which is a 28E agency through the city and county. And it sounds like it would be a win for all of us. If we needed to relocate, being in a facility that there's also jail staff and other county employees there, I think would be a real positive for everything. So in discussions with Kenny and Sheriff Sheehan, the next step is to, because the authority owns the building, receive permission from you guys to move forward with that plan. So
When I was reading this, Wendy, it just seems like it is a win-win.
it is.
And it seems like the logical choice would be to be
Absolutely.
at the LEC. And I don't do a lot with that, but it just makes sense. I want to compliment you, though, on the great service you give the people when they call 911.
Thank you.
It's been outstanding.
We have
And I
amazing
personally
staff.
had to call it. And it's, I'm always worried I'm not going to get the ambulance there on time. And they said, we've sent the ambulance, but we got to have these questions
Yeah.
answered.
Yeah.
And, you turn into a panic situation. But
Appreciate that.
It's been outstanding.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
We
Yeah,
have
thank you.
amazing staff, and we want to provide them. We hope we never need to use it, but also I think if it's more accessible, we'll practice using it more on a regular basis. And we've had some interesting occurrences, like several months ago, Ida County called. They had installed some new carpet in their dispatch center, and their dispatchers were complaining of the fumes, and they wanted to know if they could come and work in our center. So I think that too, we could potentially explore some opportunities, and maybe it could be a backup for not just
could that
Woodbury
work?
County. Now, because everybody's sharing the state's radio network, there's definitely, I mean, you can download Travis can download their radio system on a thumb drive and, load it on something. So there's definitely other opportunities
If we only
to,
had somebody capable to program our
Yeah.
towers, it would work really, really.
yeah. So, so obviously there are things that Travis is much more of the technical expert. But there were some things that would need to, wiring, and we'd have to put some radio antennas on the building. But I think too, I know that there's also been some discussions about improving the jail's radio
Would that
system.
improve? Would that improve?
Well, we're talking about getting them a new radio system. So totally unrelated to this, but I think it would all help everybody in the long run, so.
Okay.
So, I
Please.
mean, Wendy talked about the backup. Yes, we could be short of saying a regional backup. My counterpart in South Sioux, Dakota County, South Sioux does not have a backup. So back at the flood, when 10 years ago,
2011,
2011.
Dakota County thought they might need to evacuate
Right, their
their
center.
facility. It sits at the main police station on 29th Street in South Sioux. Luckily, they didn't have to, but South Sioux was definitely, had more of a threat than some of our infrastructure. So it just creates some opportunities, I think, down the road.
So yeah, with your approval, the next step would be punching the hole in the wall, and Continental would have to sprinkler it, would be the next step.
Can you just go in the big space?
Yes, it's going into the big shell, it would go into the big shelled space, and I want to make a correction that is on my draft to you, that's in the background. It says 625 square feet. That number is not correct. It's probably closer. We don't know the actual number, but the space is approximately 15 feet wide. So we're probably looking at something like 300 to 375 square feet, depending on if it's like 15 by 20 or 15 by 25.
How big is that space total?
That space is about, I don't know the square footage, about 15 feet wide by about 80 feet long.
So you guys are talking.
So we don't
about-
need the whole thing.
We
Oh,
would take them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
just a little corner of it.
So you're gonna, we can't use that door that's already not there?
No, and I haven't delved into this too deeply yet to see what the city code is gonna require us to actually do. Well, we'd have to put one door for sure by the lower level elevator there, where it was filled in. We may need to provide a secondary door, something I have to look into.
Okay.
But I can say this for certain, we will have to sprinkler the whole thing and put up fire alarm equipment.
Will the generator out there be enough power to operate in case something bad does happen and we're on generator power?
I don't believe so. They may have to provide their own generator. That's something I'm talking to Thompson about yet, but
Okay. Travis, could we get your last name for our record, please?
Sipperly.
Thank you. Any other questions, Wendy or Travis? Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we approve an E911 communications backup site to be located at the Woodbury County Law Enforcement Center lower level. How about if I say at approximately not to exceed 400 square feet of shelled space at the LEC? I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
My question, Dan, is if we put the not to exceed the 400 square
Yeah.
feet, and then, hey, this needs to become
Just
a
leave that
region, a
open?
regional backup.
That would leave it open?
Yeah.
I would, yeah, that would be
Okay.
my only, I don't want them to
Okay.
use all of it, but I don't
Yes,
want
and our
them to be-
intent is
I don't want them to be
only to
closed
use the
into-
space that we need.
Okay, you're okay taking that part out?
Yeah.
Okay. Good point, Tony. Yeah, no, thank you. You sec-
I'll second
Second
that.
Okay, so Karen, we're not going to state any square footage. Okay, the motion's been friendly amended, and we have a second from Tony. Okay, any further discussion, any questions, anyone want to address this item?
I think this will make Ryan really happy too, because it further strengthens how we got the bond, making it a city-county joint venture on there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
So you see a lot of pluses then?
Oh, this is perfect.
Tony?
I mean, I don't know why they can't use that rat-infested place down in Climbing Hill any longer, but I mean, that's.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0.
You know,
Approval.
the Climbing Hill space was my middle school lunchroom. I went to school down there.
Okay, thank you very much. Agenda item 11, information and update on LEC project. Shane Albrecht, please.
So, thanks, Dan. Since I was here last and reported, we have had, we notified Hausman of our intent to have an inspection and look at it. Hausman did respond. They sent people, so ASPM came out last Monday to start with a plan. They also provided a plan. So they said we're going to seed, interseed, water, spray, and mow. They have been out to do that work, as they said. We also, since I was here last, we got the boiler fixed. It's back to modulating. When they were here, they made an adjustment to the boiler that they both come back on at the same time. That's not how it was designed. It caused some issues that the control system thought both boilers were running, so then it turned more pumps on to increase flow, which has caused things to be bypassed and cause problems with starving coils. We've got that problem resolved as well.
Both boilers are working.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they have been for a little while. So the ERV that Kenny spoke about, it was removed. It ran into some struggles to start with, but just based on wind and stuff, there was a hole put in the roof. Suter took care of that as well, scheduled Winkler out, got the hole repaired. And they just wrapped up yesterday with getting all the blank off sections and stuff in the unit. So the wheels off the roof, all repairs and everything's blanked off inside, so that's all back to normal. And then the final thing, I met with Corey Metzger from Resource Consulting Engineer and Matt Eisner as well as Star this last week, a week ago on Tuesday. We talked through all the different things for retro commissioning, and we were supposed to do a retro commissioning walkthrough this morning. Unfortunately, because of schedules with one of the people that we were having come to look at retro commissioning, they decided to decline. So we sent the thing out to SMB, which is Systems Management and Balancing, as well as SystemWorks. SMB, you might remember, came to help us out during one of our checks on EF1. They were very excited about putting in a price for the retro commissioning. SystemWorks initially was as well, but then looking at the schedule and the timing, it didn't work out. So SystemWorks has declined wanting to price that. So put a kind of little bit of a wrench in that. So we will be rescheduling in the next couple weeks to get Corey up here to get that walk done as we try to figure that out. And right now, our recommendation is to just move forward with systems management and balancing.
Okay, thank you, Shane. Any questions for Shane? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I do have a question. On the retro commissioning, did we have just your estimate what it was gonna cost to do that? For the retro commissioning?
I'm
Because-
sorry, say that again, Dave.
What was the estimated cost to get that done, retro commissioning?
$70,000.
70,000, okay, for some reason, I was thinking it was a bigger number, but just say that SMB or whatever would come back and give us, a way higher number. Do we want to look at pushing the timeline a little bit to get another bid, or? do you think, or-
We will take that into consideration. What I did with Corey, as I told, reach out to S&B and don't give them any guidelines. Look at the proposal, give us a rough order number back to us so that we kind of get an idea where this is. Upon that time, if we feel the number isn't where we think it should be, we'll consider reaching out to somebody else.
Okay.
We tried a different commissioning group than S&B previously. Our experience didn't go well, so that kind of limited our choices. But we might move the time frame as you talked about to make it more aligned with maybe System Works schedule as well, so that they would want to participate.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I did forget in my update, Kevin Ross from GGA was here yesterday to walk with us at the site, to look at the seating, and he will be filling out an observation report from what he saw and providing that to us in the very near future.
Okay, thank you, Shane. Agenda item 12, public concerns that do not relate to a scheduled item on the agenda. Are there any public concerns? Okay, there being none. Agenda item 13, authority board members' concerns. Any concerns, Tony?
I have a question, and I sort of bring it up before, is Kenny came up earlier and talked about the restriping and the bill, $11,000 or whatever, and you said you were gonna absorb that out of your operating budget, is that correct?
Yes, 13,600, yes.
My question is, if we're generating this revenue, and maybe this is a lease thing, and you guys can tell me to be quiet, but why are we expecting? Why are we using the taxpayer money out of Woodbury County when we have federal inmates that are generating this revenue? And if we're making our bond payment, why are we not using that money then to put towards that bill, and then you using the Woodbury County taxpayer money on something else? That's my, and maybe it's something, a timing thing where, hey, we haven't paid our bill yet, but maybe in 4 months we can repay you, once we know we've made the bond payment. I don't know how all that works, but in my mind, I would like to see the federal inmates paying for the restriping of the parking lot instead of Woodbury County budget. That's my
Okay.
comment on that.
So I can't speak for the authority. I only relate this to the other facilities that are under my department. In other words, if it was a Trosperhoid or a Tri-View or a courthouse that I had to restripe a lot in, it would be paid for out of my operating budget every couple of years.
I
we do
agree,
that,
but this is a different breed of cat here. that
Understood.
We're generating something that, hey, we'll absorb that. And I guess I have an ulterior motive of further down the road, if this goes well, the room and board we paid for the x-ray machine in the sheriff's office. I would like to see us to even expand when we get the lease agreement is, we don't need the Woodbury County to pay. Let's let the federal inmates revenue pay for that. But that's further down the road is what I'm saying, Dan.
I see what you're saying. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on that or comments? Would that impact what you do for us? It's a good question.
I think my main comment would be based off of the definition of the lease agreement is what the expenditures can be spent for on the maintenance fund. So that would be what I would refer to at the moment. And I don't have that definition in front of me.
And Jody, is that something that if we ever get to looking at the lease agreement, we could change at that time?
Yes, yes. So as long as the authority and the county are on the same page, we can amend that lease. We can amend the terms to whatever both parties agree to amend them to.
Okay, thank you.
So I think right now it states more about we'll say the welfare of the building itself. I'm not sure if it talks about any equipment or anything like that. So that's why I said I would defer to the definition of the lease agreement.
And I keep mentioning the sheriff's office, but then in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, the state of Iowa, we have to pay, the county has to pay for their updates and their TVs and their cameras and in their courtrooms. Well, maybe instead of Woodbury County paying for that, the LEC Authority pays for it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's, like I,
If we're able to, if we're
Yeah.
making, this is all contingent on, we're making the bond payment, is my point in this.
Yeah, what I would want to make sure though is the maintenance fund, and we've put a cap on that, I think, of $8 million. To grow that to $8 million so that there is a maintenance fund available when the building starts to need
Yeah,
work,
that's-
similar to what we had in the past. Not similar to what we had in the past. We didn't have the money for the maintenance, and we paid a good price for that, so.
and that's why I think the lease agreement is defined the way it is at the moment. And before we start spending the money, I would make sure we are doing it under what the lease agreement defines it as.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello, Dan Bittinger, Woodbury County Supervisor, District 2. Tony, to answer your question, that's something that I'm intrigued in looking at. I've been looking at it over the last couple of years. I do think this is the time for the lease, that portion of the lease to be looked at. And I agree with your sentiment, right? If we're bringing in federal inmate dollars after the bonds can be paid and that there's a net proceeds, I think we should be able to use that for any type of maintenance in the building, stripes, whatever that is, right? I agree with you, right? That we can use the proceeds, the revenue, to help.
I think it just makes, and Dan, I agree with you. I don't wanna pay the bond and then have $1 million left in the maintenance agreement and us spend $900,000 because the sheriff's office needs something. I do think we need that cushion in case the chiller goes out but if this all goes well.
Correct.
I just assume, hey, we're generating this. Let's use this to make the facility better. Or if they need a piece of equipment that we've never been able to afford, well, now maybe the authority can afford it, is my point. And I'm not talking just sheriff's office. I'm talking county attorneys, I'm talking the courts and all that.
Right. The board I'll speak for myself, I think most of the board members would probably be open to that, looking at that. As you get into the project, looking at what does that portion of the lease cover, and it might be time to have a joint look at that, but just let you know, I'd be open to that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I think, Tony, we could find a balance in that, so that we don't forego the complete maintenance fund, and that we build it up.
So I did want to share with you, there was a document that Kenny has. That $8 million isn't just a dart thrown at a wall. There actually is listed by different pieces and parts and the lifespan of each of those pieces and parts, what that would look like over the 20 years of the building. And I was just telling you, so
No,
it
and I
does have
get that,
cameras.
Shane.
I was just telling you so everybody looked at that.
I don't want, and I'm one person, but I don't believe in, hey, we need this $8 million in there for a what if. When, you're right, something bad could happen, but something bad could happen tomorrow. You know, if we can spend 500,000 or 300 or 13,000 to help something today, to fix it today, well, that's 13,000 that we can build up the next month. Nothing happens, is my point.
I want to clarify, I wasn't arguing.
No, I
I
agree.
100% agree with that. I was just telling you, some of the pieces that you asked questions about, cameras and different things, are already in there for updates.
Okay.
The TVs weren't, but the cameras were. There is money every 5 years to add cameras and to upgrade the systems and stuff. I was just saying, I think it's a deeper conversation that you need to look at all the pieces that are in there. And I completely agree, if you want a life scanner and you have the revenue for that, absolutely. I was just telling you, there is a document for you to look at and for the authority to either move forward with that or not.
We had the flexibility today Tony, on the two items that we,
Yeah,
Or to- yeah,
I think that works great for us to
Yeah.
be able to pay for
Yeah.
those.
okay. Any other concerns, Dave? Okay. Agenda item 14, I will make a motion to go into joint closed session with the Woodbury County Board of Supervisors and Frederickson and Byron Law Firm under Iowa Code Section 21.5, subparagraph 1C. Is there a second?
Go ahead.
Second.
Thanks, David. All those in favor, say aye.
Moore,
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, that's right. Thank you. God, I got them on each side.
Karen and I think a lot alike.
Moore,
Aye.
Dietrich, Wingert,
Aye.
Oh, you're keeping me on my toes.